in my brain it was polished turd, and then out of my mouth was.
A lot's happened since yesterday.
I'm gonna try not to be shady with the band. Somebody in the band will be like, "Hey, bro, we were in the room. Fucking, can we like reamp it back through the other half?" I go, "We'll talk, man." And you know what? Usually, and even including with Brett, right? It's like people will go, "Yeah, you're right. This does sound better."
Yeah.
You got to give them a little time because they got to let their ego cool off or whatever.
Yeah. I've had that happen, dude. Dude, I literally had, or Ralph remembers this. We had a guy, we worked our asses off on a production, and then we went to go get it remixed. And they went in and did what they could, and they were like, "Oh, it sounds pretty good." And their response was, "Well, we can't polish a turd. This is the best we can do."
Ouch.
And I wanted to be like, "Okay, go fuck yourself, dude. Like, goddamn, man.
Yeah.
You could have rephrased that, but
Well, it's hard to hear that, you know.
that was harsh.
But
Yeah,
but what they were saying was we gave them what they had to work with. There was no retracking. They were just mixing.
Yeah, I mean, I had to have the same talk with one of my clients about 3 weeks ago, and in my brain it was polished turd, and then out of my mouth was, I think if we spent a little bit more time tracking, we could have maybe got a little bit more clarity, by changing the mic position. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I got to edit my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm just cutting toes off everywhere.
You almost got to talk like a lawyer. You almost got to kind of like tiptoe around what you're
a
trying
little
to
bit,
say.
but a lawyer will just straight out lie to you though.
That's true. That's true. You're just trying not to piss off the artists.
A lawyer will argue that the sky is red when you can see that it's obviously blue.
That's
and
true.
They'll have legal reasons why it's red. That's the difference. But so that's what I try to be diplomatic. I've gotten better at it. I'm not awesome, but I mean I've gotten better at it. And I think when you ask about secrets, that's the secret.
That's
The secret is having enough people skills to be able to juggle the not egos, because that sounds bad. It's not egos, it's personalities. So like you're dealing with different personalities, and everyone's got one.
Right.
Thank God. Otherwise we'd be a bunch of what's the guy from Facebook?
Mark
Be a
Zuckerberg.
bunch of that guy.
Oh, I'm like, which one?
Yeah, that guy, the head guy, the guy looks like an alien.
Yeah.
That guy.
Oh yeah.
So we'd be a bunch of those dudes, right?
Yeah.
So that actually is more of a secret, I think, than even how things sound. I mean, yeah, making the stuff sound great is definitely a huge part of it, or as good as you can. But it's the personalities, getting along with people, knowing how to compromise, but also knowing how to not compromise on things that are going to derail or wreck the song, and just stand your ground a little bit, but know that maybe right now isn't the time to force an issue. You can put a marker in there and say, we'll come back to that. Let's go over here. And then you come back. The guy might go to lunch and eat and come back, go, fuck, I was just hungry, bro. I don't know why I was getting stuck on that one point. Let's punch that back in and get it. Cool.
Yeah. That happens. Yeah.
So there you go. There's the secret.
That's the secret.
Interpersonal dynamics.
I just know that a lot of bands work with certain producers and they have the tendency to stick with them. You know what I mean? While other bands are willing to try different producers. And I don't think there's anything wrong with either one of those. If you're really happy with the producer, then stick with them. Or maybe you can go work with another one, and then maybe you'll come back to the producer that you worked with in the past. But the point to me is, what's the do you guys have that chemistry? Do you have that chemistry? Because I think that's what you need. Like, I enjoyed working with you because you made me feel comfortable and you really helped me to get the best performance, that's cool. That was huge. And we worked well together. We had good chemistry. You did the backing vocals, and it sounded great, and our voices worked well together. I remember on My Dearest one, I remember thinking, man, this sounds fantastic. And that was you, man. A lot of that was you, dude. We wrote the song, we performed it, but you put the magic on it. And that's what I mean. But is there a secret? Because I know to give that just, there's some bands you hear and you go, cool song, but man, that recording just lacks balls. It
No, I know
doesn't,
what you
you know
mean.
what I
Yeah.
mean? It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
have that wall of sound that's still separated, you know? There's a trick
Yeah.
to that. And
Yeah.
is that more in the mastering, or is that in the
No,
mixing?
it starts in the tracking and getting the right performance, having people playing the instruments in the right places and getting the right articulation. It's all the way across the board. Like if there's a failure at any point, like you could have great tracking and a terrible mix that will completely destroy your song. You know what I mean? It can completely like take out everything that was good about it. Mastering, unless it's like super botched, it's less likely to mess up your stuff, because if it's a real mastering guy, he's there because he's done at least a decent of enough job to still be in business, unless it's some rando Calrissian guy, you know, on a laptop. Yeah, who's calling himself a mastering guy. Rando Calrissian.
I like that. I'm keeping that.
Yeah, you can have that one. That's an original.
Nice.
Have you been watching The Mandalorian? Did you watch that?
Yeah, I'm all caught up on it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
So
great.
It's like the last and only redeeming thing about Star Wars.
At this point, yeah.
It really is. I mean, I don't even get pushback from Star Wars fans about that anymore. Like,
Really?
it's the last great hope of Star Wars, this Mandalorian. Yeah.
Because I think we really are, especially Star Wars fans, we're just kind of tired of this Skywalker stuff. We've seen it. Give me something
It's just
different.
rehashed, and they rehashed the Death Star over and over again, and then the last one with the magic planet where they magically have all these resources and a million Imperial cruisers just chilling on this planet. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Nah.
But
But
Mandalorian, it's like I'll admit I was actually I was slightly disappointed to see Luke. Everybody, spoilers, everybody was in there, you know, going off. I loved it. I mean, the fanboy in me got crazy about it, but
yeah,
I'm like, there could have been so many other people that would have just. We talked about it with an author recently. He said the same thing. He's like, what if it was Mace? Yeah. That could have opened so many doors too. So it was just like, I get it, but.
I was kind of felt let down a little bit when I saw it, because I'm like, really, you guys had to go back here? It's
yeah.
Like, why you couldn't go off to a side character and start up a whole nother season or two off of somebody else?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well.
But they're stuck on trying to capitalize on what already worked for them, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to music, do you think that happens to bands, to different artists, that their stuff gets kind of old after a while?
Yeah, 100%, because it's like they know that works for them, you know? Right. How many artists can you think about who every record sounds different that they put out? None.
None.
Like none. Yeah.
Every band has their own formula.
Especially not that Greta Van Fleet band. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. Like, not only do they not put out one that sounds different, they didn't even put out one that sounds different from Led Zeppelin.
They just picked one. They're like, these guys aren't doing it anymore, so nobody's doing this now.
Yeah, and they're right.
Those guys are going to be leaving angry comments on this video when we put it out.
Hey, at this point, then I invite them on this show to rebut rebuttal.
Like blow up my Instagram or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, you know, call me an asshole. It's cool.
Yeah, come on, we'll talk.
I'll take your bullets. I'll take your blades. You know.
So I got to ask, bro, what are your thoughts on? I kind of already know your thoughts on and feelings about this, but I got to ask, what are your thoughts on the current political situation? The state of affairs.
Well, you got 70 million people that are pissed off and feel like it was rigged and robbed from them, which is not a good thing. So it's going to be chaotic. There's going to be a lot of pushback. We're going to have problems. It's not going to be good for the economy. It's not going to be good for people's struggling and working jobs, regular normal people. It's bad. This is bad. So there's no win, no matter what political side you're on. There's no win here, because like for me, I'm like one of the most libertarian people you ever meet, which I didn't even know what a libertarian was until like a year ago. Basically, government, fuck off. Don't tell me what to do. Leave me alone. I'm pro speech and pro freedom, period. And like free speech, you can say whatever you want. You could then we at least know who we're dealing with, because people have a voice. And I don't care how unsavory your opinion is or what you say. people have a right to say it, and they have a right to get their asses kicked if it comes down to that too.
Yeah, that's true. I never, they never consider like, yeah, you have a right to say whatever the hell you want. You also have the right to get the shit knocked out.
You have a right to get punched in the face, and you have a right to get punched in the face back because you just initiated violence off of somebody just saying words.
Beautiful thing in our country, baby.
That's my thing, and it's not a radical. It didn't used to be a radical idea, but I guess it is now. So I'm just pro that. That's my thing. So for me, seeing anything that's moving towards like a tyrannical situation, forcing people to do things, forcing them to have a vaccine passport, which is literally, the vaccine is a DNA recombinant, which means it literally changes your DNA forever once they inject you with it. And we don't know what it's going to do. And you sign 1 million pages saying you don't know, you agree that you hold them blameless and harmless forever.
Yeah, I don't know about that, dude.
Yeah.
Are you anti-vaccines?
I will not be in the line for that one. Yeah.
Are you anti-vaccines altogether, or just?
No, I'm anti. I'm anti non-disclosure and non-responsibility. And that vaccine, you have to sign something holding them harmless, even though there's a chance of you bleeding to death when you take it. There's all kinds of problems. And you don't know what that's doing to your DNA. It literally is a DNA recombinant. So that literally scrambles up your DNA, changes it over time, and it's all listed under all the little things they warn you about when you sign for it. So I'm not anti anything unless it's something that, or it's something that is known to be harmful, and putting in some rando Calrissian DNA from some fetal cells into my body is something that you cannot tell me what's going to happen. You can't. No doctor can tell you what's going to happen to you once you take it. They can explain certain risks and certain possible benefits, but here we are on to COVID-20 already. There's another strain, and then there's another strain. There's 2 other strains. So how effective is that vaccine against new strains are popping up?
Well, and it also makes me ask questions too, because they're pushing the shit out of the vaccines. But just recently they had a dude in front of, what was it, Senate or something, screaming about that one drug, ivermectin. And he was basically saying that I guess it's an antifungal, but he was a pulmonary specialist, and he said basically from his research, if you give them this pill, and the pill's completely harmless, they were saying. And he's like, give them this pill, not only will their symptoms diminish immensely, but those who don't have it won't get it. And he was damn near in tears in front of Senate begging them to come and look at his research, because he's like, stop this. I have the shit. It's here, and it's a drug that's already been approved. It's harmless. It's readily available. We have it. And then all they're talking about is get the shot. And I'm like, nah, I got to know more about this before I take a needle. Fuck that noise. Yeah.
Well, you're one of the few smart ones that are actually thinking for yourself.
We are so few nowadays.
I have managed to go through my whole life without having, I think the last shot I had was in the 1970s. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Like when I was a little kid. And then I didn't have any other shots after that. I'm fine. I'm fine. So that doesn't mean that it's fine for everybody. Everybody has their own choice. But the problem is, like, it's when you force people through a mandate to make you do something with your own body, with your own biology and your own health, that's a huge problem. And that's what they're moving towards. It's moving towards that. So that to me is a huge, huge issue. The semi lockdowns that have happened, that makes the virus more transmissible, because it becomes more potent to be able to be transmitted more easily, but it also weakens the strain. And this is coming from actual virologists. I'm not just saying this out of my butt, but I will speak out of my butt often. Breath mint.
Except we're honest, dude. We'll sit there and go, look, I don't know shit about shit, but this is what I've heard.
No.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm repeating what I've been told, and so I mean we're all just waiting and seeing what's happening. I mean that's what all of us are doing. But no way in hell am I taking that vaccine. No way.
Well, do you worry that fake news, so to speak, is interfering in our decision-making process? Because
100%, 1,000% is definitely interfering in decision-making processes all the time. Yeah.
That's the problem.
from both sides.
Yeah.
And the
yeah.
dangerous
It's
thing
funny
with
how,
that-
how things are considered to be, side A, side B, blue and red team.
and it's
It's
so
so-
bullshit too.
It's so ridiculous
Yeah.
because most people are somewhere within a spectrum of
Yeah.
most people are center right to center left. That's
Mhm.
most people.
Yeah.
Most people are not out there tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln, calling whatever. But there's people that are doing it.
No, for sure. Yeah.
People are tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln. So it's most people are not that radical, but the radicals get the most press, and there's a certain element in the legacy media that is definitely more left leaning. It's definitely not more right leaning.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then you have the problem of those. We forget that the number one priority of those stations is ratings, not news. They
Yeah,
really
and,
don't. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they don't give a shit about the truth. They're trying to get
No,
your
no.
eyes on the fucking TV.
yeah, it is, and so it's like whatever kind of gets more radical and gets more views and gets more people looking at it, they're going to be into it.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I mean,
mean,
it's always been this way, hasn't it? I mean, for
Yeah.
years, I remember the news having a guy that was like the editorial guy. He
Yeah.
did a special thing where he gave you his opinion. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it was whether or not you had to decide. Well, is he giving an opinion based on facts? You know what I mean? That he's researched, or is he giving you an opinion based on his own bias? You know what I mean? So
Yes.
But the
Yes,
problem
Money
is
Penny.
that now-
Your brush, Money Penny. So yes, definitely bias.
we got it again. Yes.
Yes, bias, 100%. I remember, okay, because I'm old enough to remember. CNN. We have an embedded reporter in the Gulf War, right? And these two, they were playing sound effects of gunfire and throwing things at them like they were right in the middle of a battle. But then it got the footage of them got leaked. They were just on top of the studio in Burbank,
oh my god.
making it.
Oh.
So
and
that
that's
was
my
my
shit. Like,
first-
how do you take that shit at all? The minute you see that, it's like they're done. You can't.
But CNN was fine and kept cruising. So you know what I mean. But you're right. It like all of a sudden it was like, because I grew up with my aunt sitting there watching CNN. It was like watching God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for her, everything CNN said was true. Everything about how the Gulf War was true. Everything that they're saying was like, but it's like everything was bullshit,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, so yeah, when you talk about fake news, well,
Yeah.
most of the mainstream media to me is absolutely nothing but propaganda and bias. You know, when you have a CIA liaison office inside of CNN, what's that tell you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they share a liaison office inside of CNN with the CIA. So yeah, duh.
And I saw a thing just recently. Jimmy Dore broke some story he was looking at where the feds actually released some paperwork where they flat said that they used CNN, they used MSNBC, they used
I know.
Fox News, all of them. Like, not on
Yeah.
either side. They used all of them to
Oh, yeah.
push a narrative about Syria back in the day when we were having
Yeah.
all the issues with Syria. And the thing that we heard on those news stations were just bullshit. They used the feds used them to tell us what we needed to hear so they could do what they needed to do.
So when you wonder who's running the country,
Yep.
when you have federal people that are in there for whole career, 30 years.
Yeah.
You think they give a shit who's president?
President's just a temp,
You
bro.
think they care? That president's going to be in and out, and they still got 20 more years left
Yeah.
to put their message forward, right?
Yeah.
Through regular I call them legacy media because they're done. They're done.
Yeah.
They've lost millions and millions and millions of people, and they're going to continue. The kids growing up now are not when we were growing up or when I was growing up or whatever.
Yeah. Well, how do you
So
perpetuate the lie when everybody's got a fucking cell phone taking the same pictures?
Yeah,
You know.
unless you control literally every bit of information, and you have, which they're attempting.
Trying. They're
They're
fucking
trying, but man, you gotta respect the weaponized autism that's going on inside of You know, yeah, that's what they call it.
Weaponized autism.
Yeah, they call it weaponized autism. So it's like you've got a bunch of very smart people that are really good at analyzing things in the civilian world, you know, on the, you know, quote unquote dark web, that are picking apart these things, you know, pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyways,
so what do you think's going to happen?
I think that we're going to continue to be lied to. There's going to continue to be more and more leaks and hacks of what's really going on. There's going to be more attempts of covering that stuff up and painting those people out to be crazy conspiracy theorists, right? You know who was called crazy conspiracy theorist? People that were talking about the Gulf of Tonkin incident in Vietnam. They were called crazy conspiracy theorists. And their, you know, whack jobs and everything else. And now the U.S. just admitted that the Gulf of Tonkin incident was real, which is literally the U.S. Navy claimed that Vietnamese fired on their boat, and that's what kicked off the not war in Vietnam, right? So they admitted that never happened, that they just put out a story that they were attacked by the Vietnamese Navy, but that didn't happen, and that's what kicked off the whole thing. So
crazy.
And yet now they're like, we have to have faith because, you know, one side is telling us the other side isn't honest. That's what they're standing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and I love it how
are honest. You know?
Yeah. I love it how the big mainstream people were like, they're calling us fake news and they're the fake news. And it's like, okay.
yeah,
I don't know. Good luck on knowing who to believe, Ralph. That's my answer.
Well, I know. What do you think about the COVID situation though? What do you think is going to happen?
Lockdowns aren't really effective.
This was a
There's gonna be more draconian efforts to mandate lockdowns through governors and like Newsom and other people. And there's gonna be pushback. There already is pushback in other states where you've got people that are like, no, we're not gonna do it. So we're gonna see more armed and/or protest-oriented stuff coming from the people who just want to be left alone, not the radicals, but the other people that just want to be left alone. Right. So we're gonna see some of that shit this year, I think.
Because really, is it too much to ask to give people the trust to do it safely? I mean, look at Newsom, looking at our citizens saying you ain't gonna do the right thing, so we're gonna make you stay home. The sheriff around our area came right out and said we ain't gonna enforce that.
Right.
You guys do what you're gonna do. And so now you're forcing anarchy. These dumbass rules are making anarchy from our own fucking cops going, I don't give a shit what he says. We're not going to make you guys do that shit. You know?
Yeah, which makes sense because there's no constitutional authority for him to mandate you to not travel.
Correct. Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, and then you can say, well, fuck the Constitution. No one cares about that. Well, then there is no authority for all the statutes and codes, which means that you have anarchy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
What you said.
Yeah. If
you say fuck the Constitution, then fuck all your statutes and codes because none of them have power anymore.
Right.
Because you can't stand on anything anymore. You have no standing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my whole thing was I'm just worried about how this is going to continue to affect the entertainment industry. You know what I mean? People that have to. They have to go out. They have to travel, like bands. They have to play. They have to tour. Yeah. You know,
well, it's going to be a year now.
Yeah, that's right.
That the 2 weeks to 2 week lockdown was happening.
That's right. We were actually
a year now.
It's got to be a year in what, January, February, March.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant they came out and said it was going to be a year, and I was like, oh shit, when did this happen?
No, we're coming up on a year of being.
Yeah, we are.
Sorry, Ralph. I didn't mean to step on you.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I was just going to say Ravenscroft was getting ready to go on tour because we signed to a record label and it was based off of the record we did with you, Rebel. They loved it so much that they signed us. Yeah, and we put together another record and we were getting ready to go support it and go on tour. And it just out the window now. So for, a band like us that was just getting their chance to get their feet wet in a big way.
Yeah.
There goes that. So what happens? I mean, what do you do when the musicians can no longer afford to pay you because they're not making any money?
I mean, I'll tell you what I'll do: starve to death and go out of business. That's what I'll do. So that's my option, is to starve to death. So yeah, I mean, and trust me, I've thought about this a bunch, but the thing is that we're not really in control. We're not in control.
Yeah.
Like we're not controlling what Gavin Newsom's doing. I did go sign to get him recalled. You know,
Really?
There's 900,000 signatures now.
Yeah, it's something like it's getting up there. That's for sure.
It's getting up there. I signed to recall him because I'm like, I don't like this guy. So, we could get in somebody even worse, but I mean, it would have to be like Hitler's like Trump.
Hitler's clown.
It's fucking Donald Trump's like, I found a new job.
He'll come right out of Nancy Pelosi's house. I don't know, you know. But, like, yeah, we will have just shut down, Fräulein.
Well, let's end this on a high note. There you go. What would be your dream
that one?
band? I know, right?
It just goes credits right there immediately.
I know, it's just like boom. I know, as soon as he does it, it's like boom. I'm scrolling up or scrolling up.
I can only imagine how distorted that was on your end, you know.
It's funny. No, it sounded good actually. But what would be the band that you would like to work with the most? I mean, I'm sure you have a few favorite bands. What band would you really like to work with if you had an
you know, doing stuff that's kind of out of the box is fun for me. You know, a band like the Bad Plus would be cool. It's kind of more of like pop meets avant-garde jazz weirdo band that I would just love to record. Like, they're just weird and I like them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of who else, and that wouldn't be like a money thing. It'd just be like a cool thing to get them in.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. You know, not based on how much you're gonna make. But
yeah, they're not famous or whatever.
Yeah.
I just think they're cool, and I like what they do, and it would be interesting to record them because, you know, stand-up bass and piano and really weird, awesome drummer who does like breakbeat stuff and crazy stuff. Really interesting dude. I'm trying to think who else.
Well, you like some of the more avant-garde stuff.
Yeah, a little bit more avant-garde, and it'd be more because it would be interesting to work on it and tweak out on my, you know, precision.
Yeah.
Stuff, you know. But I mean, I've already recorded bands that I really, you know, like Western swing, 1930s Western swing. That was a blast. I've done like 50s jazz kind of stuff, like clubby jazz stuff. That sounds great. So I don't know. I've done enough things now where I don't have to wish I was doing something else except for a band like that where it'd be interesting and fun. Yeah.
Do you think there's a secret to writing a hit song?
There's definitely a secret to it, and only Michael Jackson knows.
Oh boy.
Well, okay. Well, what
to
about
the
this?
grave
When
with
you when you were working on the album that ended up winning the Grammy, right?
Yeah.
Did you have an inkling that this was a bigger album than normal, or was just a normal everyday?
I mean,
this is cool, and then holy shit, we won.
It's funny because like the Mars Volta, like a lot of people, you know, like oh my god, it's my favorite band, you know. And for me, it was like, all right, the singer's like, you know, like he's like all super high. There's like on the drums, and I'm like, oh cool, it's Mahavishnu Orchestra with a singer, you know. Like I heard what they do, but in the like way earlier in Mahavishnu Orchestra. But I mean, obviously they take it, you know, Mars Volta's taken, you know, definitely standing on the backs and moved on. And and Omar, it was funny because I was working out of Omar's house in Brooklyn when he was there, and apartment, and he had a, you know, Mahavishnu Orchestra records all stacked up. I'm like, I knew it. and he's like, of course, you know. He's like, yeah, of course we're influenced by them. You know?
Did you hear the record? Goddamn, man.
But no, I mean, I knew it was really like kind of cutting edge and weird, you know, even for them a little bit. But definitely had no inkling that it was going to be a Grammy winner or anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you hear stories like Peter Gabriel and his producer when they did that song Sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
They knew. They were dancing around the studio. They're like, this is a hit. Like they knew it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
So to me, that blows my mind because how many times have you heard something amazing or had some artist that's phenomenal who just never kind of clicked.
Yeah.
It's happened, right?
Right. Yeah.
It happens.
Sure.
There's phenomenal talent that doesn't get recognized. So
There's a lot of great bands out there. Yeah. That
yeah,
don't,
but some people just know, like they just knew that was a hit, and they literally were dancing around the studio, like saying, "This is it. We know it's it." And they were right. It struck at the right time. It's a super catchy song. He's a totally weird avant-garde artist, but brought down into the pop level.
Yeah.
I'm sure the producer probably had something to do with that a little bit. And and it killed. But
was a pretty cool song if you think about it.
That is a cool song. Yeah, but for me, for the Mars Volta thing, it's like none of those songs are pop hits. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a weird rock record that won, which is kind of shocking to all of us. Yeah.
But I guess everything has its, niche, right? There's always going to be somebody that's going to like it.
Yeah.
It just depends on how many.
Yeah.
As to whether or not they're going to be riding around in a little minivan or they're going to be taking a tour bus, So.
And it's like they spent some money on that record. So I just see like all these, including myself, working on this stuff, and it's like, man, you guys are gonna have to like spend some time recouping on this. I don't even think they care. At the point that where they're at, he was just like, look, we're gonna just put out this magnum opus and we're gonna go full in. He goes full in on everything he does. Guy's been hospitalized like 7 times for exhaustion. Like he'll work until he can't work no more. That's how he is.
So do you have any advice for aspiring producers?
Work harder and longer than you think you have to. Put in the time and do the research on the style that you're working in or the styles that you're working in, and be open to new ideas. Definitely have some mentors, and that could be through URD Academy and these other sites that have amazing education now that you can get online that you don't need to go to a college. It's cool if you do. You might have some hookups, but there's better education for engineering and production online now than there is in any school. I can say that, and I taught for 14 years in college too, and I can still say that. So yeah, keep an open mind, work the hours you need to work to get it done. If you can intern somewhere and learn and get your work ethic up, that's cool. If you do it online, just put the time in. Don't be distracted. Don't let while your friends are out partying and getting bitchin' rims on their Camaro, you can be the guy that's working on your craft, and just keep working on it and working on it. And the best motivators for me were family doubting and saying, "Oh, you still doing that music thing?" I'm like,
don't you hate that?
And I'm like, yeah, you still doing that dentist thing?
How funny, because
my brother is a dentist.
But he's also a musician. So
are you still doing that UPS loader thing? You still doing that corporate whore thing?
Yeah.
Brother.
Oh, dude, I was a truck driver for a long time. I have both worlds. I know. I look back on
totally great, good, respectable job and everything.
100%. I hated it. I mean, I'll be the first to say I was not designed for a job like that. It's just not me.
No,
but I'm not shitting on anybody who takes that job, because
no, me neither, man. I mean, there's no job that's below anybody. I mean, if you want to be in there but the thing is that work for your goal. It's like work on your craft,
right? And
your craft might include, you might be terrible with people. I know people that are phenomenal engineer, musician, producer people that are terrible with people, and that's hindered them. It's like, work on that then. They already have everything else. They got all the skill. They got more skill than anybody else. So that's it. Work in your shadow areas where you're afraid to go. Yeah. Get in there and get dirty and get better at it, and put the flashlight on and light it up. That's it. And no one working on it is going to become another me. They're going to become them. It's like, you become you, the best you can be. And yeah, you can sound like Periphery, or you can sound like Tom Lord Algae or Chris Lord Algae or Bob Clearmountain or any of these other new guys. You can go focus on that, but you're going to have your own bits and pieces of you is going to be It's going to create what your style is. Hopefully, to me, have your own style, develop your own style, and you can take and pull from these mentors. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds easy.
Developing your own style, I think that's good advice.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
And no matter how low you are, if you get so low, you can actually just reach up, touch bottom. So that's pretty cool. You know, when you get so low in life, you can actually reach up to touch the ground. You gotta know that there is no bottom. You can believe it or not, keep going down. It's like, oh man, I've really reached rock bottom. It's like, no, bro, there's more rocks out of these rocks.
Yeah, don't fuck around and find a jackhammer.
It's like you can dig up no matter how low you are, and I know because I've had to do it, and yeah, that's it, man.
Fucking
Yeah.
A, man.
Stay away from all these crazy pharmaceuticals and shit too.
Yeah, no shit. Well, bro, it was great talking to you, man. Thanks
Hell
so
yeah,
much
dude.
for coming on the podcast, dude. We appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks, Cody. And I know your name's not Dan now.
You know what? You can call me Dan. It's okay. From now on, you can call me Dan.
You impressed him enough on this little interview that now you can call him Dan, and he won't mind. I know you're starting to do you have been for a while now doing some of the social media stuff, and I know that you put out videos and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
And most of those are live, or are they ones that you edit?
Yeah, most of them are live. I just have a camera in here, and I just pop it on, and if it's just somebody singing or playing guitar, I'll pop it on, and it's on Instagram. It's under World Class Audio. And I just broke 800 subscribers on my Instagram.
Oh, look at you! You're becoming an influencer.
Nice.
Taking over the world,
Where can musicians that are looking for a really good producer reach you? Do you have a website?
If they want a really good producer, they got to go somewhere else. But if they want to, it's worldclassaudio.com.
Nice. Shawn, it was great talking to you, brother.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can have you back on again in the future. If you're down.
Right on. I'll tell you the good stories on the next one.
You got to tell us the Kelly Osbourne story.
Yeah, exactly. You owe us that much.
Yeah. Shawn, it was great to meet you, brother.
Hey, you too, man. That was great.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, my pleasure. I'll see you guys again.
All right, brother. Next time, we're going to have somebody else. We're going to be doing other stuff. We're going to be talking about other shit. So come check it out. Until next time.
Peace.